Hello, my name is Alexis Voss, and I'm here to talk to you about how stepping out of your comfort zone can make your life more fulfilling. But first, here's a quick quote. It's only after you've stepped out of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. Roy T. Bennett. Alright, the first thing you need to know is that humans are afraid of change, even though change leads to personal growth. That's very important to know. Self-awareness is one of the most important things to have when stepping out of your comfort zone, and taking that leap of faith can lead you down a path that you least expect. Okay, so people are afraid of change, which makes them feel discontent and unfulfilled. Our comfort zone can prevent us from reaching our full potential. Rose O. Sherman. The comfort zone is where we feel we are at our most comfortable, we feel stable, and our stress level is often at its lowest point when we are in our comfort zone. The problem with the comfort zone in this respect is that good work often requires a certain amount of stress, and once we reach this threshold, our abilities are expanded. We're able to do a lot more, a lot better once we have this stress. The stressful stimuli on our minds and bodies. We are then capable of so much more. It is a very small window for this perfect amount of stress, so you need to be careful to not put too much stress on your mind and body, otherwise you will become stressed out. You will begin to think negatively, and we don't want that. And this will also reduce your performance abilities. So I know personally just how much staying in your comfort zone can hinder your abilities. I've always been a pretty scared person, whether it be meeting new people, taking risks, or even just speaking, which is why I often don't say anything. This innate fear has kept me from doing many things that I probably would have loved to do even as a child and even now today, if I had just taken that leap of faith. But after I asked myself some keen questions, I was able to identify what I wanted to do with my time, my life, and one of the things that I recognized is that I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. And so I, as a sophomore in high school, decided that I would travel abroad with some teachers that I knew personally from classes I had taken. And this was a huge leap for me as someone who sticks to her mother's side even as an 18-year-old, then 16-year-old, but like I was going to Europe with very little adult supervision, and let me tell you, I loved every second of it. It was amazing. In the 2 weeks that I spent over there, I felt freer than I had ever had before, and it was just amazing. I definitely recommend it to anyone. Not right now, but like when things open back up. Just, yes, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Just go see the world. I didn't know very many people on this trip, however, other than the history teachers who I had some personal connection with. And they all trusted me not to do anything too rash, which was great. So I had quite a bit of freedom. And I remember being on the beach in Normandy, running into the water with my sack lunch and immediately putting my feet in the water while everyone else was huddled together, not wanting to stray away from the chaperones. And Mr. Carr, the teacher who was the head chaperone who had organized this trip, even commented on what I was doing and saying that this is what he wanted for all of the students to do, that this is what he wanted everyone to experience and just go off and explore. And that meant a lot to me because I was doing it just on my own. And he didn't have to tell me twice. Second main point. So self-awareness is the key to satisfaction. This is actually one of my a point I came up with, because I think you need to know yourself, to know what you need, and to know how you're going to progress into stepping out of your comfort zone. I personally ask myself deep questions all the time to try and see what I want, who I want to be, and So again, being self-aware is very important when trying to improve your life. You need to start asking yourself some big questions, like who are you? Who do you want? Like, what do you want to be? And what's going to make you happy, and how are you going to accomplish your personal goals? And once you know what questions you need to answer, you can go about finding the solution to these problems. Most of these will require some sort of change in your personal life. And being self-aware is also how you know your limits. It's important not to push yourself too hard in any direction. And again, yeah, it's imperative to know that everyone has different limits. Someone who may be comfortable doing backflips, corkscrews, being really active and doing a lot of tricks and stuff, may have a fear of dogs, I don't know, or injections or something that you have no problem with, and you would never do anything like that, like the corkscrews, backflips, whatever. But it's crucial for self-acceptance and growth that you understand that not everyone's the same, and everyone has different needs, and different comfort zones, so it's very important. Again, and I'll go back to one of my personal experiences. When I work, I sometimes have to ask people to join our rewards program, even though I have a really huge fear of asking strangers for things or to join things, or asking strangers in general. I don't like strangers. This is a problem for me. My manager told me that I just had to ask one person and then I could stop, because I was like pacing and getting nervous and stuff because I had to ask people. So I ended up targeting one person, and I asked him if he wanted to join, and he said no. This broke me, basically. I was a staggering mess, and I basically stood there, got teary-eyed, went back to our employee bathroom and cried about it, and ended up, I had to, take a minute and be like, it's not the end of the world, it's not going to end your life, you're fine, you're okay. But in that case, my manager I tried to tell her, like, I have my limits, and, I don't think I'll be able to do this, but I did it anyway, and it went a little too far. But I knew my limits. I knew that I wouldn't be able to do that without breaking down. But I did it anyway. And lastly, the path that you have planned may not be the path you end up taking in life. This is another personal one for me. And again, my life changed when my friend asked me to join the dive team in my junior year. I had no prior experience with the sport, nor did I have any interest in it beforehand, and it didn't help that I'd had no experience in doing any kind of acrobatics or anything like that, and this made it more difficult to learn new dives, and still keeps me from progressing because I can't trust my own body to not lose control in the air. But if I hadn't joined the dive team, then I would have met my coach and teacher, who has been a real mentor to me and has opened doors that I never would have thought of if it weren't for him, and that's Mr. Cochran, if you guys know him. Alright, another way that my life changed unexpectedly is when my infant cousin came to live with me this year, after her mother was imprisoned. But even with this new family, well, not this year, last year, but even with this new family dynamic, we've stayed pretty strong, which is great. And this new change definitely flung me from my comfort zone into uncharted water. Before my cousin joined my family, I didn't know how to take care of a baby at all. In fact, I was terrified of them, but as I spent more time with her and got comfortable, I've grown attached and now treat her like my baby sister. So staying inside the comfort zone reduces stress and allows the person to feel like they belong where they currently are, is the counterclaim. And this is true. People do feel very comfortable in their comfort zone, and leaving, the name. And leaving the comfort zone allows for new personal growth to occur to a better overall life. Personal growth stems from change in a person's life to know what you want and need to be self-aware. The path you expect is not always the path you are going to take. And there are still many things that I have to learn and experience, and I will undoubtedly be put out of my comfort zone many more times in my life, but I look forward to them. Change something in your life for the better, but remember your limits. Thank you.